Hi, good afternoon. My name is Pita Arreola. I'm Curator of Digital Art at the Victor Nalvar Museum, and I'm also co-founder of Offsite Project, a curatorial platform that is dedicated to support the work of media artists. I'm currently developing a research project, Hubs, Nodes, and Networks, a new history of British digital art for the V&A in collaboration with the Paul Mellon Center. The project spans from the 1960s into the present and considers the V&A Computer Art Society archive and collection as a foundational resource. If you're interested in learning more about the research project, or if you would like to get in touch and have any inquiries or ideas to collaborate, please scan the QR code that you're seeing in the screen and get in touch. I'm very excited to be sharing today material from the V&A's Computer Art Society archive. By showcasing a sample of materials from the archive, I hope to ground the current trend of art in the legacies of algorithm, generative, and computational art, and by doing so, to recognize and recapture characteristics of dynamism, multidisciplinarity, and hybrid materialities that are present in these materials. Before speaking about the Computer Art Society, I would like to highlight that the ideological framework that led to artists to work with computer was established during the first half of the 20th century. Prior to the 1960s and to the use of computers, artists were already shifting their focus from object-based artworks into system and process thinking. We can see these ideas expressed through art movements such as constructivism, expressionist, abstract expressionism, surrealism, conceptual, and concrete art. And I'm showing some examples here in this slide. Specifically for the UK context, the establishment of cybernetics as a field of study in the late 1940s and the exhibition Cybernetics Serendipity, curated by J. Richard at the Institute of Contemporary Arts in London in 1968, were key factors for the development of creative communities dedicated to computer art around this time. Cybernetic gave artists new materials to work with, while the exhibition presented exciting examples of how artists were incorporating new technologies in their work. The exhibition was showcasing the work of Nam June Pak, of Gustav Metzer, and Jen Tingley. I'll show you briefly just two examples of artworks that were presented in the show that are part of the Computer Art Society collection that we have at the V&A. In this slide behind me, you're viewing the work Random War from 1967 by the artist Charles Surrey and the programmer Jim Schaefer. In this work, Surrey made a drawing of a toy soldier to be used as a data check, where the computer program generates random numbers to determine the distribution and the position of the soldiers in the data field. It also determined which soldiers are likely to survive and assign them a color accordingly. So what we're seeing here is how the program is determining which soldiers will die and which ones will survive in the battlefield. On this slide, where we can see Edward Inatovic's sound-activated mobile, or SAM, which is an electro-hydraulically operated sculpture that is responsive to its environment. Created in 1968, it was Inatovic's first attempt to produce an articulated structure capable of being controlled by an electronic system. So what we're seeing on the image on your left is how the sculpture was exhibited in the show Cybernetics Serendipity. And actually it was one of the most popular artworks in the show because of the interactive aspect that it had with the visitors. The Computer Art Society was founded in 1968 by Alan Sutcliffe, George Malin, and John Lanslow. The society was established to encourage the use of computer and to promote exchange within a global community. We also have to remember there was a time when computers were very inaccessible and there were only few computers in the country, and they were kept by universities mostly or corporations. Both Sutcliffe and Malin were involved in the Cybernetic Serendipity show. Sutcliffe took part through his collaboration with the British composer Peter Zinoviev and Electronic Music Studios. Malin was working with the English cybernetician Gordon Pask and System Research, and assisted on the production of Colloquy of Mobiles, an interactive robotic work shown at the exhibition. And you can see both works here behind me. As you can see, the society had an incredible multidisciplinary approach and was dedicated to explore the creative use of computers, not only in visual arts, but also they were exploring the use of computers in poetry, in music, in theater and architecture. The group was sharing resources and news through its page bulletin, which started in 1969 and ran until 1985. Throughout the years, the Computer Art Society established an international network of artists and groups from 19 countries across the globe, including Japan, Australia, Canada, the USA, Brazil, Argentina, France, Spain, Italy, Germany, the UK, the Netherlands, Austria, Croatia, Sweden, Belgium, Venezuela, El Salvador, Algeria, and Mexico. The V&A's digital art collection holds currently 270 works that resulted from these exchanges. In 2004, a new generation of artists relaunched Page, and you can find most of the Page archive through the website of the Computer Art Society if you want to read some of the writing and the kind of exciting events that were happening back then. In addition to Page, to generate new knowledge and to promote practitioners, the Society organized exhibitions, events, and workshops very similar to the event that we are attending today. We can see in this slide this working sheet from the weekend course in Computer Procedures for Art that was developed in February 1973. I will read this page so you can have a peek into the art procedures that were applied and review for basic considerations, because this material was actually made for artists or just people that were curious about working with computer but didn't have many previous knowledge on what it meant to work with a computer. Weekend course and workshop on computer art procedures. Notes on procedures. Number 1, 4 categories. First, intuitive, choices left to human beings. Second, cybernetic, choices via control from external factors. Third, probabilistic, choices left to chance. Fourth, deterministic, choices strictly according to rules. Second, generally any computer artwork uses procedures from each category, but we will basically deal only with categories 3 and 4. Third, probabilistic or stochastic procedures makes use of chance, and this can be A, entirely random, where each action is totally independent of the one before. B, first order random, where an action is determined by chance, but probability is related to some particular distribution, e.g., one action could be 5 times more likely than another. C, Markovian, where an action is related to the action which precedes it. There are various orders of Markovian probability, e.g., an action could be related to the previous 6 actions. 4, deterministic. Procedures derive from rules, and these can be so complicated that they can only be followed with computer aid. Birth and death and voting procedures, together with total serial systems, fall under this category. Examples will be given on the course. And I really love the message on the left that says good programming, and just like wishing good luck to the participants. These notes shows that procedures that were considered for programming artworks back then, and how probabilistic and deterministic procedures were favored. These two procedures are still relevant for the creative process of artist programming today. We can find them in works like the processing program designed by Casey Rias and Ben Fries. In the archive, we can also find materials from Interact Man, Society and Machine, a conference event and exhibition that took place in August 1973 during the Edinburgh Festival. This program from the conference showed the types of ideas that were considered and performed during the event. As you will see, much of them will still resonate and are relevant for today's discourse around digital art practices and aid works. And I'm just gonna read briefly like some of the titles so you can get the idea. Stroke Cornock, Art and Cognition. John Whitney, A Humanist Counterforce, Computer Motion Graphics in Arts and Music. and Roger Sandals, technical artists or artist technicians. From the works that are presented during Interact, I would like to focus on Olivia Cordero's MX3. It's not the first computer choreography. We have works that proceeded from artists like Jim Beeman and Paul Levasseur, who presented their computer dance and cybernetic serendipity in 1968. But Cordero's work is a remarkable example of the consideration of machine vision in dance, as she is considering the position of non-dancers involved in relationship with the 3 cameras that recorded the dance to avoid the need of cuts. The artist was programming all of the choreography using Fortran, and then utilizing the result set of rules to be performed by the dancers. And you have to remember that back then, like video recording cameras weren't a thing. So the way that she was able to produce the video was partnered with a local TV channel. And she's thinking about how the machine can be very efficient in recording the dance and deliver the less edits or cuts necessary. And also she's thinking on how the dancers can have a sense of agency within their performance and how the machine is like looking at them. And what we have at the result is like some of the notations that Olivia developed in 1973, and these are some stills of the film that is around like 15 minutes. This computer dance was made in 1973 when Cordero was only 19 years old, and it expresses concerns around human autonomy and machine-run systems within the context of the Brazilian dictatorship that the artist grew up under. Cordero's ideas still resonate today when considering the impact of our current data systems in the politics and society in general. And my computer is frozen. But we just have the last slide that has a couple of images from the archive. And just to finalize, I want to say that my ongoing research aims to understand the networks that were relevant to the initial period of computational art, while linking this to the current moment, because I'm really interested in how we're still 60 years from when these ideas start to be part of the creative discourse. We're still discussing them and how the contexts have changed since. And within this project, I'm hoping to map how digital art practices have evolved in Britain from the 1960s into the present, including AI practices. Thank you.